You already know what it is. This Shit Stop podcast in the building. Another day coming to y'all. Me and JauniTsunami giving y'all a review on this power thing. We've been watching it, chopping up. Had a lot of shit to say about it. Was like, why not discuss it with the people? You know what I'm saying? But definitely shit look a little crazy right now. We in the process of moving. You know what I'm saying? Trying to do something better.
Upgraded.
So, definitely be on the lookout for that. Everybody that fuck with us, thank y'all. Everybody that swung through here and showed love, good looking, you know what I'm saying? Because without this, we couldn't get to where we going. So, you know what I'm saying? But Power, Raising Kanan, Part 1.
Anywho, like I said, like he said, I'm JauniTsunami. Like and subscribe to the page, please. This Should Stop podcast, just how it sounds. Subscribe, like, and talk your shit. It's free. I swear to God. Like Boss Man said, we talking about raising Kanan. And when we meet Kanan, this is a good one. When we meet Kanan, he's a little kid getting beat up and bullied. Not the Kanan that we came to know at first. His mom's bring him back to get his change, get his get back after he's crying. Are we still doing this nowadays? And if we are, is that okay or is it frowned upon? As far as like, oh, you better not come home with that shit, or I'm gonna beat your ass, or we going down there to fight right now. That type of deal that we used to do back in the day.
I think parents are still on that, but shit from what we see, the look of it, motherfuckers get killed for doing that shit nowadays. You know what I'm saying? Like, you used to could go throw hands, bring your son back. Yo, which one you gonna fight with all of them? You know what I'm saying? But I definitely think nowadays shit is more dangerous in the process of doing that. For an average kid, just mother that ain't taking no shit.
It's dangerous for the children or for the parents or both.
I think both. But one thing about it though, it was more respect back then, and parents really wasn't for that shit. Like, a motherfucker coming home crying, that shit we was definitely going back to where this shit happened. Like in the 90s, that was real prevalent. Even my mom's being a single mother. Like, I remember that same situation happened. Nigga getting into it, run to the crib, crying, maybe motherfucking lip bleeding, you know what I'm saying? She like, yo, what happened? Yo, niggas done ran down on me. She like, fuck that, we going back. And, as a kid, you don't want to go back.
You don't want.
So for whoever's saying you want to go back, you like, do not want to go back.
Your mom had you by the scruff like a puppy.
But one thing she said that's mad prevalent, it's like, deal with them or deal with me. Ain't no running from me. And that was like a mom's really shit when it came to it, like at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying?
Because at the end of the day, I don't think it was...
That's a new podcast out too.
Hashtag, because at the end of the day, check it out for more.
Day, under this Shit Stop podcast, man. Look out for it.
A little more feminine touch.
Not all women, but more feminine. Definitely more... And I can't even say that because the homie Mozzie been on there, so don't get that fucked up. But it's definitely more feminine. But Mozzie, come on this side, man. You already know what it is, man.
If y'all would have watched we getting off track, but if you or y'all would have watched my episode with my little cousin Mozzie, he definitely held it down for the male chauvinistic pig. I mean, the men. He definitely did not.
Mozzie definitely one of the homies.
He did not switch up just because he was in a room full of women, But anyway, I think that our parents, when they did that, it was not just a pride thing. I think it was like, I'm not always gonna be here, son or daughter. So you gotta have some type of a strength of win, lose, or draw type of thing. So it wasn't only, oh, you got beat up, I'm gonna beat your ass. It was more that you have to fight back kind of thing. And that also happened to me, but not with my bio mom, but my other mom. And it was a boy. And when I say, I didn't even want to tell her, I was crying, me and my sister. She brought us back, and all I remember is this. Because, I was standing back all scared. She was like, and she flicked him in the mouth.
No,
I didn't even have to fight him because he didn't want none.
No, it was definitely like that's what I mean about the respect thing. Motherfuckers used to see motherfuckers' parents and know what time it was. Know like, you know, she about to take off over her kid. You know what I'm saying? Or aunts, uncles, like that's when like, you know, it's so crazy back then. You running the crib, it was kind of whoever was in the crib. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you just hope that them type of motherfuckers wasn't in the crib, that it was somebody that was more would check the situation, because we all had them uncles, aunts that was rarely on it. Nah, you going like that, put a rock in something, you better go bash one of they shit in. Like, they not gonna chase you home every day. Like, you know what I'm saying? So,
because I'm not gonna be here every day.
It was definitely different, you know, and I definitely think with that, that was a good representation of the early 90s.
Speaking on Kanan getting beat up, if y'all watch Power, y'all know that Kanan was he's played by 50 Cent, and he was a wild boy.
Hey yo, man. Shout out to 50, man, for creating everything around his life. This nigga don't come up with no other stories but his life, nigga. I fuck with that.
But can you imagine? You have the content.
Nah, he do have the content.
You know
That's what I'm saying.
Like, you don't have to make it up. I mean, you can make it up because it's fictional, but can you imagine the stories that we all have? We could all make some.
Nah, that's movies. What I'm saying. But for him, it just never changes. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this shit is kind of like a get rich or die trying. That's what this is. But it's kind of like a before get rich or die trying. Like, I'm going to get y'all the baby meat. But it looked like it's later than the get rich or die trying.
Mine as well.
Because this one's just more about his mother. Get Rich or Die Trying was little shadows of her, but he always said a lot of him came from his mother. So I think with this was a time for him to show it, you know. So shout out to all the single mothers out there, man, doing y'all thing. This is him bigging y'all up.
Oh, thank you. Oh, my gosh. We got to memorialize that. Did y'all hear him big up single mothers? But anyway, speaking on little baby Kanan, I appreciate how they showed him as a child. They didn't just bring him in at 8 years old being wild, shooting niggas. You know what I'm saying? He's getting ready to develop into what we know he's going to come to be. He was a crybaby.
See, that's the difference in the 90s and right now. See, in the 90s, when you really was like tough and, you know, a motherfucker that would fight and go through, that mean you went through some things in life. That mean you once was the nigga getting chased. I mean, you once was the nigga that got punched in the face. Like, in the 90s, in order for you to get your way, you had to go through shit. You know what I'm saying? Then now you could just come out at 18 and be wild as shit.
Come off the porch.
You know what I'm saying? Like, motherfuckers these days be coming off the porch and be 22 years old. Motherfuckers was coming off the porch. They was 8 getting into that fight in the street. You know what I'm saying? Like, in the 90s, and then in the 90s, it was more kids in the hood, so it was like a lot of us. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like how now everybody's in the crib on shit. Motherfuckers died to really be outside in the streets throwing the Nerf ball, you know, whatever it was, water guns going on. Like, we always had some shit going on, regardless if it was freeze tag, you know. Man, it was everything. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So definitely then you would get into more shit in the early age because it was more of like a community.
We didn't have a choice, and I'm not being one of those grumpy grandmas. I'm not downing these kids nowadays, but back in our times, I'm so old. Come on, back in my day, we didn't have the internet or like electronics to keep us busy. We had to keep ourselves busy with each other. So it's like these children now, they have more options. We didn't have that option, so what do? We made with what we had. You know,
but that's what I'm saying. I definitely think, even if going back, and for a lot of people, that's one thing I want to say too. And I know y'all probably heard me speak about that a lot on the podcast. I don't know why, but I always have to stress how fucked up it was in the 90s.
It was dirty.
Like, dirty.
It was
roaches
dingy.
Everywhere. Mice everywhere. Wasn't none of it. Wasn't nobody.
2 at the foot, 2 at the head. Y'all know the tune.
Nobody was like, crib was without roaches in the 90s. That shit was just what it was. That shit was like any crib you really went in. Like, you know what I'm saying? For you not to have roaches, motherfuckers loved your crib. But so we didn't know the difference of like shit being good and not being good. It was just like that everywhere. But in this picture, I don't think they reflected that enough. You know what I'm
We're
saying?
only in episode 3, and the only person's house that we saw was Kanan's and his mom's, where she was getting money. So we're not going to see that. You see, we haven't seen inside Davina's house, his love interest, and
Right.
his mom's, is doing bad. So we can only imagine what her crib looked like. We just haven't got a chance to get there.
Right, but I just don't think like not even the inside. I'm saying like the outside. Like
That's how Queens be looking though in that neighborhood. I happen to know that neighborhood.
I tell everybody, if you have a chance, I don't fuck what city. Look at any city 91. It ain't gonna be where the fuck you live at. Look at where you live at in 91, and I guarantee you be like, damn, this is. I'm talking about burnt up cars, mattresses in front of the crib for months. Motherfuckers flipping on these pissy ass mattresses like we hate it when they take the mattress.
And trash day, exactly. Trash day when?
Nigga come home like, oh, this shit gone. Like, yo, they done took the motherfucking clubhouse, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, shit was crazy. But I definitely think clothes, everything they had down packed far as in the joint. Like, them representing that time. I think they represented it good.
It's so crazy, and I don't know if you guys know, but I am a art and fashion freak, music freak. And when I say everything down to the bedspread, to the furniture, to the jewelry and how it's worn, the nail polish, everything is so incredibly accurate. That's probably my favorite part about the series so far.
And you gotta be a 90 kid to really realize when they show couches with the plastic on it. That shit gonna go over a lot of people's head, but nigga, that was how you know it was a new couch in this motherfucker. And when that new couch came in, that shit stayed with the plastic on forever.
Forever, the plastic be turning brown.
Like, you got your ass whooped for ripping that plastic, nigga. No bullshit. Let you be the one that slid that plastic off. Situation. No bullshit. But I think all around, whoever set it up, shout outs to them. Whoever put all the scenes together, the clothes together, because you know that shit take a lot too, really, for you to go and to dress people in that era. You know what I'm saying? That shit's very hard. And to make people have swag and
Kraft, even the
that.
music. They're not playing, because I googled the fashion, I googled the fashion director, the costume director, I googled the music every time. If they say it's 91, they did not play not one song that was made in 92. Like, that's how intricate the costumes and the music are.
Nah, because even with that, like, new music in 91 stayed new music in 91. Like, that shit was new music all 91. Like, you know what I'm saying? When NWA dropped the album, that shit rocked all year. Like, until something came that blew that shit out the water, and that shit had to be something explosive to knock this next project out. You know what I'm saying? That's how, like, the 90s was. There was no, you could just look around and get a bunch of music. What you had was what you had. And everybody was trying to dub that shit.
Dub, copy tapes. Oh my gosh, I'm such an old biddy. But speaking of the costumes, right? Me and Kraft spoke about this because that's all we talk about basically is TV and shit and music. But every kid, now I'm going to have to watch it over. Every kid we saw was polo. I mean, the low lifes, if y'all don't know about no low life, hashtag low life, shout them out and look that up so you understand Jukebox is a low life head. But anyway, besides her, every kid is fresh.
Shout out to all the polo kids.
And that's a whole nother subculture that's real deep. That is real deep. Y'all got to look into that. But besides her, every kid we've met so far.
And I think it's like, not to cut you off, I think it's like 2 documentaries on the low lives. I think it's a couple people got a whole documentary out on just the low lives and what they stood for and the shit they was into. So definitely look that up. Y'all could look that up. That's what it is. Low life, polo kids.
Okay. All of those kids were fresh that we met. Now, granted, every kid, every character that we've met is in the life, so they would have the money. So now that I'm going to rewatch it, I'm interested to look at all the extra kids, like the extras in the backgrounds. I'm hoping that not every kid is fresh to death, because that's definitely not how
Nah, but it wasn't. I brought that up to you that they had every kid fresh, and that's one thing I didn't like because the '90s wasn't like that. Like, not to say every kid didn't have a moment, but far as like certain shit being worn, it was only a couple kids. Like, because shit was different. How now we look at a $200 pair of sneakers, that shit wasn't looked like that in the '90s. I don't give a fuck if your people's hybrid. That shit wasn't looked at like, yeah, go get them shits because we had so many other shits. Like, and one thing you got to remember too, Boston is Adidas city. So a lot of us parents was into Adidas. They wasn't even into all that other shit.
Nah.
Like, my mother and father was straight Adidas motherfuckers. Like, my mother always picked Adidas over everying when it came to her getting me sneakers. You know what I'm saying?
Shout out Mama D. Till this day, she don't play about her dogs.
Oh.
But even so, like you brought up a point where even if your parents had it, like, yeah, I could have had me an 8-ball jacket if my parents wanted me to, if my grandparents wanted me to, but they was not having it. People was, back then still snatching chains, stealing coats, all that type of wild shit.
And stealing coats was very prevalent in the '90s. Like, niggas was getting their jackets. That's what I'm trying to say about far as like everybody having it. It wasn't even a lot like motherfuckers couldn't get it. It just was like, it was a problem with you being a shorty moving around with that type of shit on. For you just to have one of them jackets, motherfuckers know your shit could get taken. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of shit wasn't about like everybody not being fresh. It was a lot of parents that just was like, yo, nah, I'm not sending you to school, and I feel that's putting a target on your back. You having an 8-ball jacket, you having on some snakeskin Timbs,
triple fat
goose, Philly blunt jackets, Adidas tracking jackets. Like, it's so many jackets back then. First downs was big. I remember when niggas getting their first downs tucking, you know what I'm saying, off their back. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of shit. And then, like you said, we got to see how they gear up into the '90s because that was just '91. So '91 is like the top of '90, even though '90 was critical. If a motherfucker could remember '90 in Boston, damn near looked at like colors except for red and blue. It was fitted hats, like no bullshit.
Couldn't wear no team. Well, I couldn't. Even though my family's heavy into sports, I don't give a damn what team it was. It could be the Cucamonga Cracker Killers. You couldn't wear no team in my house or outside of my house anyway.
Nah, the motherfuckers definitely wasn't for you. I remember shit, like, niggas' parents wasn't even for them wearing they neighborhoods hats. Like,
no, that's what I'm saying. You couldn't shit. Wear like, no team. Like, never mind, no. So just cut everything out.
I remember when niggas used to try to get little hats that like nobody, and then run into some niggas that use it like, yo, fuck, I'm gonna get a Bulls hat. And then run into some little side street niggas like, yo, we did Bulls such and such. Like, what was the Norfolk Bulls? Like, it was bad shit.
Couldn't have one team.
There was no scouting team that wasn't tooken. Like, yeah, that's how it really was though. Like, cause I even remember us being young. You know how we came with the Yankee shit. It was a playoff New York shit. You know what I'm saying? And then we flipped it, bounced it for young niggas. But we really did scout mad teams. Like,
I can imagine the sit down.
Yeah, like the sit down was crazy. Like, everybody running through teams. Like, but that's how the '90s was though.
Now,
and I think they played Kanan Moms good. I love her position.
I love her, even though now we got to talk about Raquel, Kanan's mom, because she was a doting mother. She just happened to be a drug dealer. Now, I really appreciate the dichotomy of her character because one hand you can say she's a bad mother. Not only is she a drug queen pin in the hood, but her child, is aware of it. On the flip side, she wasn't playing about his education. She wasn't playing about him moving up, doing something different. So I appreciate how we have to think about her in two different ways, and depending on how you grew up is the way that you're going to receive her.
I think think most people from that generation is gonna receive it well because everybody grew up like that. If it wasn't a mom's, it was an aunt. You know what I'm saying? Some people it was their grandmoms. You know what I'm saying? So, I think a lot of 90 kids will be able to understand that right there. And the one thing I do want to say, and this shit seem like I'm just on a rant defending single mothers today, but
God bless.
fucking. The one thing about it was from the 90s, there wasn't all this help that we have now. So it wasn't how mothers could just lean on shit. And a lot of mothers, like she said, she was what, 17?
Yep. 16, she said.
16. Like a lot of mothers was like under 18 first having a kid. And back then you just couldn't go 16 talking about, yo, so I need a shelter. You know, y'all can put me in the crib. Wasn't none of that shit. That shit took years sometimes, you know what I'm saying? So it was definitely a different plan to where women really had to step up and make shit happen. So I definitely understand both sides to where a person could look at it, you know, from right now. And that's why I always say a lot of shit in the 90s, if you look at it now, you would say the shit's heinous. A bunch of shit. Even shit that we all just thought was cool, you know what I'm saying? But it was the time. That was like I always say, that shit was like maybe the realest time ever. That shit was just everybody being real, wasn't no hiding who you were. Like, it was just different.
But then, 2 sentences ago, back up. The resources are different now, but we actually did have support because, like you said, I don't know too many of my peers, parents who weren't teen parents. My parents were teen parents, so were yours. We stayed with our family, so we did have family support.
No, I'm saying we have family, but I'm talking about how now you can get all this from the state, from the government. Like, you just couldn't get shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Everything kind of had a cap on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't like, yo, you just have 3 or 4 kids and they're just gonna keep tagging. Nah, shit was really different in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? You couldn't even get shit as quick as you could get it right now.
I think that's iffy because I'm not 1,000% sure, but I remember a story. I hope my mother is not going to be upset that I told it, but it's real. That she said she went to the welfare office, and as soon as she went in, she wanted to turn back around, but she was there. Then she said she might have went through with the process, and then immediately was like, "Nah, I'm straight." So the resources from the government was there. It just depends on the support that you have from your family. And because she had the support from her family, she didn't feel like going through that. So the stuff that we have now, they definitely had then. It's just that I don't think our moms and dads didn't really, quote unquote, need it because we had such a community and a support system around us.
No, it was definitely there. You just definitely couldn't utilize it the way you could utilize it now. Like, that's what I'm saying. The welfare office wasn't the welfare office right now. Like, none of this shit that was cool now. Even how niggas be like, yo, you got stamps, yo, let me use your card, and niggas would be in fucking Stop and Shop or Whole Foods using the card, jewelry on every motherfuckers wouldn't be seen with food stamps in the 90s
because it was actual paper. It was not a card. And and you know how I know? Because my parents had food stamps. My step parents had food stamps.
So that was not the shit you wanted to go in the store and use. Like, I remember when certain times, you know, niggas getting money, certain niggas used to take the stamps from their mother and then go pay cash for that shit. Mm-hmm. Motherfuckers wouldn't even spend the stamps. Niggas just go pay cash and get them shits to somebody. Like, yo, y'all little niggas go to the store with them. And, like, it was totally different as you got. Oh, see, when you was younger, it was nothing. Yo, y'all go to the store and niggas go tear the store up. One of them blue little $5.
I used to be walking around because, you know, I stayed around the way, and when you're in a community, you'll see all the same people. Remember that movie Crooklyn? And she didn't want to spend the food stamps, so she tried to steal the food. Yeah. I did not want anybody, even though we were all on food stamps, I still didn't want to go and spend. So I'm walking around the store, the bodega. Only so many times you can walk around.
It was times that I waited till everybody went out the store to spend them. I done let like 15 motherfuckers go ahead of me. I've been in the store for 45 minutes. Know my grandma's like, where the fuck this nigga at with this bread? Like, this nigga's bugging with bread and Pepsi. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Not
like,
the Pepsi.
Nah, shit was crazy. So I definitely think, you know, and even that's why I understand a lot of like dudes my age that when you see them, dudes are smiling and yo, I'm chilling, yo, I'm working, or I'm doing what I'm trying to do, music, yo, I'm mauling, whatever it is, because we all come from fucked up times. So to be alive right now, this shit's a good time. Shit done changed. You could walk around, you could breathe. Like, this shit was not like this. And New York was even worse in them times. If Boston was crazy, New York was double that shit.
And Philly and Baltimore was triple.
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Woo.
Like, so people have to get that in their mind when they see this. Know what is coming from a way different cloth. That's a whole different cloth from your aunt and your uncle right now. Ain't that cloth. That's that your great aunt cloth. Like, you know what I'm saying? You got to go get up with maybe your great aunt or some shit like that.
So, speaking of cloth, I spoke on how Kanan is a teenager at the time now. He's in high school. He's fully aware of what his mother does to the point where he wants in. What, if anything, will make a child or a teenager want to go the path of his family or the path of straight and narrow and square? Now, it could be a stroke of luck, or it could be your circumstances. It could be anything. What do you think makes us 90s, 80s, 90s kids, either you go left or you go right? Sometimes you go in the middle. I tried to dabble in the middle.
Sometimes I think a lot of it has to do with real shit is having a father in the home. I think that have a lot to do with it. And I think most dudes that turn into Kanan grew up like Kanan. Grew up with just them and their mother. It's a different thing from your mom's being. You see how he was, you know, at some point started like, I'm a grown man, and that's how you feel because she's a woman. It's not that big manly figure like, nah, yo, go to your room. Like, it's different, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I always said, like, I see the difference in us as men that come from single parent cribs and us as men that come from both parent cribs. You know what I'm saying? Even with myself and some of my friends, I seen the difference in our way of thinking, our way of going about a situation, you know, as far as handling a situation. Like, it was two different things. So I definitely think it's easier to see more Canans when it's a single parent home.
You think so? Because, like, you guys can tell, we all kind of grew up together. There's many of us. And there were some of our friends that were in single parent homes with single mothers. There were some of us that had single fathers. And there were some of us with two parent homes. And for some reason, I really think that it's really a luck of the draw with the child that you have. Because I have many siblings and we're all over. There's some that's left, there's some that's right, there's some kind of in the middle. And I grew up in a two-parent home. But and I got some...
It's different when you are really with your mother. And that's why I said for a little boy, we take things in different. It's different when you're with your mother and you see your mother hustling. And it just brought this thought to my mind when we was watching an interview with the kid, and he was saying how the brat made him started rapping. And he was like, damn, if she's a woman, if she could do it. So that's how I think with young boys it be with their mother. When you see your mother hustling and she's winning or she's playing the game, you like, nigga, if she could do it, I can do it. You know what I'm saying? Because you put more strength in you as a man. You know what I'm saying? And when you done seen your mom's juking and do what she do, it's like, nah, if she can do it, I definitely can do this shit.
Not trying to be fresh this one time, but if she could do it, I can do it because she's just a little old girl.
Nah, but because she's a woman.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So just because she's a girl, if this girl can do it, then I damn sure can do it because she's just a girl.
Especially if you see her do it at a high level. You know what I'm saying? That makes a difference too. Like with him saying, like, the brat, damn, she really doing her thing. Like, when you see somebody that you feel you can be doing it too. Yeah, I think that give you motivation. And a lot of us that come from single parent crib, especially in that time, 9 out of 10 mother was strong. Like 9 out of 10, if niggas came out of a crib with a mother, and especially for him to be a stand-up kid or whatever, 9 out of 10 his mother was in some way moving. You know what I'm saying? And in the 90s, it was all different. It wasn't no just, yo, selling crack. It was dope. It was Carthy. It was bank rob. It was, shit was moving in the 90s. Niggas was out here hungry. Niggas was robbing banks at an all-time high.
Talk
in the
about
90s.
multiple streams of income. Not everybody was slinging like Raquel. Like you said, there was food stamps. There was bank robbery. There was fraud. There was
boosters. Was high at that time.
Oh my goodness! You could call
Boosters
on
was
your
crazy.
favorite booster.
You dig?
Everybody
Shout
had
out Big
their
Candy. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, man, like boosters was crazy. Shout out on Big Kim too, man. Boosters was crazy back then, nigga. Like once I kind of hit the streets, shit, I remember living off boosters.
Support small businesses, reparations.
You dig?
I don't care what nobody's
like. I remember boosters coming through with fucking 20, 30 North Face jackets.
And you
different
see,
colors.
Speaking of going back to raising Kanan, Jukebox, even though she was, in the low life movement and would only move that product, that's how else we all would get our stuff.
Wow.
I'm talking about that. I'm trying not to say products, y'all. So I'm talking about that stuff, food, toiletries. Wow. Remember, you get your like load up on your soaps and your dish liquid and your washing detergent.
Like, see, that's what I'm saying. I was a kid privilege. Not only that, I messed with an older woman when I was young. Shout out Puff. You know what I'm saying? Just got married. Congratulations on that.
Congrats.
You and your husband. But even with her shit, I remember her coming out of motherfucking Walgreens with Walgreens. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we never in the crib went for no motherfucking products. Puff shit was like Walgreens when you went in. That's where motherfuckers came and been like, yo, me get a
shopping.
Real shit. So definitely it was so many hustles back then. It just wasn't about a person being a big drug dealer like she was some boosters. Everything was kind of moving. So in that essence, a lot of this shit you have to take it in. And for some people, do the research on it. Look into a lot of this 90s shit. Look up some of the 90s clothing, 90s music, different projects in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? Because they definitely look different from how they look now. You know what I'm saying? Regardless if it's your state, other states. Even when I seen shit just recently, I seen a picture of OP, I think like 93. I was like, God damn, this shit look.
Can you imagine that we grew up with them, and even just to see the image of them now in 2021, you still can't believe it, even though we lived around it.
That's what I'm trying to say, but it was like motherfuckers wouldn't even let police get the dead dude. They brought the dead dude downstairs, gave this nigga to Jake's, and Jake's threw this nigga in the ambulance and kept it pushing. Like, that's how crazy the 90s was, but definitely look it up. Definitely, one thing I could say, this shit ain't kind of off what I expected 50. One thing I can say about 50 when it come to painting pictures, that motherfucker paint marvelous. Like, you know what I'm saying? Regardless if it's in his music, some film shit, we done seen his TV shit, like this nigga been hitting. So definitely what I expected.
Now, Big Rock, her little boy toy, Symphony, the bartender, I think he's a copper. I could be just overanalyzing because that's what I do as a Virgo, Team Virgo. I overthink
in the building.
Overthinking. It's it's like World War III. 2 Virgos, 2 August Virgos.
Yeah,
So, is he a cop or am I just forcing it? Because we always have seen a lot of odd couples, the hustler and the square, whether it's the woman or the man. Now, are they just clicking because they're such total polar opposites? Or is he a plant in this club that sells drugs and girls?
I think it could be 50-50. I think it's a good chance he could be Jake's. Because for some reason they kind of want him to stand out to you. they keep kind of like throwing them in your face, so
Hmm.
you know something's gonna happen with him.
Yeah, like Law and Order or Dateline. Like you can always kind of tell, like it's not who you think it is; it's who you think it is. Like I hope for her in her character. I hope it's cool. I hope he's not a copper, but
Who you think all that? And not even that. Let's go. Who you think was the all star, the number one in power?
what do you mean?
Just the regular power. Who
Who
you think was the
was
number one person to you?
as far as the characters that we love, or as the actor, or in it, who was the top dog?
Who was your favorite person in power?
Who was my favorite? My favorite. It fluctuated, just like with this. We're only 3 episodes in. I'm up and down with certain characters. In the beginning of Power, I did not like Tasha. As her character developed, I dug her.
So Tasha's your favorite?
I don't have a favorite. I'm not gonna do this. I don't have a favorite. And
So who's your favorite in this?
okay, Okay, can I say this? Because we're talking about the other Power. Since it ended, Tyreek St. Patrick is my favorite character, and many people hate him. I love him. You have to understand him,
Right.
Reek. You have to understand him growing up with two parents in the life. He did not have to live those things, but he was privy to them. So you cannot halfway blame him for doing some of the things he did as a boy, growing into a teenager, going through hormones, going through his parents' bullshit, growing into a man. You have to understand children also to understand his character.
So it don't even make no sense to ask you who was your favorite in Tyreek shit, because Tyreek was your favorite. So who's your favorite in this one?
In Raising Kanan, so far, it is Big Mama Raquel. Even though I love the brothers, I love everybody. You can't do
I'll
this.
probably go with first one. We'll go Ghost all the way.
Okay.
This one,
Can I guess who you're gonna say?
oh,
Who your favorite is? Marvin, the
I
older
like,
brother.
I like Marvin. Nah, the younger one's more my dude, and I knew motherfuckers would think I would say Marvin, but the younger brother is more the serious one on point that really is more on point. You know what I'm saying?
Not
And
only
that's
is
one
he
thing
on
I like.
point,
That I like the militant shit in a person.
he is on point, but he also has a heart. Do you think that's gonna come back and bite him in the ass? He gets things done, but he's like the silent, militant, strong, silent type that you probably don't want to fuck with. But then he also has a heart. If you can, we're not talking about that because we're not into that episode yet. But I can see that he is the one for no games. Marvin's the silly, tough one. The younger brother is not to be fucked with, but he has heart. So
I think the younger one, just spitballing here. I think Rock will probably end up getting murdered for some reason. I just see it coming down the pipeline.
and do you think it's gonna be like
And I think the
between the
little brother's
brothers are
gonna
gonna?
run shit.
But do you think it's gonna be a fight, or Big Brother's gonna be like, you know what, you're right. I know my position.
I think more like that. I see it going way more smooth. But yeah, the younger one will probably be my favorite. I'm really not a fan of the young dude that played Kanan. I definitely think he's playing this part right, but I just wasn't a fan. But like I said, as shit go on, he's starting to grow on me. I'm starting to see him, and you know what I'm saying? Because you got to watch shit with open eyes. You just can't be stuck in wanting everything to be like a Kanan type of joint. Because
Right.
we all grow up and motherfuckers look different and move different. So definitely he's growing and watching. So we gonna do, man, is we gonna end up getting in it too, and we gonna come back at y'all, and we gonna bust that down, and we gonna catch this thing up to where hopefully, if not this one, you know it's gonna be a season 2, but if not the 5th one, at least next season we gonna be going live. So we gonna have it where everybody could tune in, motherfuckers could call in. You know what I'm saying?
Talk your shit.
Right now, like I said, we just in the trying to switch over the spots. So once we switch over, get everything lined up, Wi-Fi, all that shit. You already know we right back at y'all.
But in the meantime, in between time, please check out the YouTube page, This Your Stop Podcast. On YouTube, subscribe. It is free. Like and talk your shit. And check out the merch. Show us.
Yeah, this shit stop.
This shit stop shirts.
Got more shirts coming in, but we got a couple on deck. Look at the website. Website's just going up. Thisshitstop.com. Go up on there. It's gonna have the videos, and at some point we gonna start putting the videos there first. So definitely stay tuned in with the website. We're trying to just build it. You already know everybody that's been fucking with us. We just on a come up. So, just come up with us, man. You know what I'm saying? We building this thing.